Have you ever argued with someone even after realizing you might be wrong? Or bought something expensive, then spent days convincing yourself it was worth it? Or maybe you've stayed in a relationship or a friendship long after you knew it wasn't good for you. Well, that's not just bad decision making. That's cognitive dissonance, one of the most powerful forces in the human mind. And over the next several minutes, I am going to explain this psychological effect in the simplest way possible and show you how it shapes your beliefs, your choices, your relationships, and even your identity, often without you even noticing. Let's start simple. Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort you feel when your beliefs don't match your actions, or when new information challenges something you deeply believe. We hate that uncomfortable feeling, so the brain tries to fix it, not by changing the belief, but by changing the story we tell ourselves. For instance, you think you're a healthy person, but you eat fast food. That creates discomfort. So, you tell yourself, one cheat meal won't hurt. Or you believe you're smart, but you fail a test. The discomfort leads you to say, the test was unfair. You think you're a good judge of character, but someone betrays you. To resolve the discomfort, you might think, they changed, it's not my fault. That's cognitive dissonance in action, your brain fighting to protect your self-image. So, why does your brain hate being wrong so much? Humans crave consistency. We want our beliefs, actions, and identity to line up perfectly. But when they don't, we feel stress and mental conflict, the dissonance. And here is the twist. Your brain is wired to reduce the discomfort as fast as possible. It turns out it's just easier to change your story than to change your behavior. That's why people deny facts, defend bad decisions, or stick to old beliefs even when new evidence proves them wrong. We don't just think to understand the world. We think to protect our identity. You'll recognize this pattern in everyday life. Think about a bad purchase. You buy an expensive gadget, and it breaks in a week. Your brain goes into overdrive. It's not that bad. I can fix it. The brand is still good. You're not evaluating the product. You're justifying your decision to buy it. The same goes for relationships you know are wrong. You stay because leaving would mean admitting you wasted months or even years. Your brain would rather create a narrative where staying makes sense than face the painful truth of a mistake. This applies to health choices too. How many times have you heard or said, I know smoking is bad, but I only smoke when I'm stressed. Or I know I should exercise, but I'll start next week. These are classic dissonance-reducing stories. It's also the engine of political tribal thinking. People will defend a politician even when they contradict facts or their own past statements, because changing their mind would mean admitting their entire group identity might be flawed. And have you ever been in an online argument? The more evidence you give someone, the stronger their old belief becomes. Their ego defense is stronger than logic. From diets and money to procrastination, any decision that clashes with your identity triggers this dissonance loop. To escape that uncomfortable feeling, people usually do one of three things. The first and hardest option is to change the behavior. For example, saying I will stop smoking, and actually doing it. The second, easier option is to change the belief. This looks like, smoking relaxes me. It's not that bad for my health. The third and easiest option is to add a justification story. For example, my grandfather smoked his whole life and lived to be 90. This is why cognitive dissonance doesn't just shape what you think, it shapes who you become. This dynamic hits hardest in our relationships. Imagine someone treats you badly. This creates discomfort, but you believe you're a loyal person, so there's a conflict. To resolve it, your brain creates excuses. They didn't mean it. They just had a hard day. They'll change. Or even, it's partly my fault too. This protects your heart in the short term, but it traps you in cycles you don't deserve. Dissonance explains why love can feel blind, why breakups often feel so chaotic, and why people stay even when logic screams at them to leave. This isn't just personal, it's societal. Brands use it in marketing and advertising on purpose. You spend money on a product, and then you convince yourself it improves your identity to justify the purchase. It's also at the core of group identity in politics and religion. Groups rely on dissonance to keep members loyal, because it's much harder to change your belief when your entire community shares it. Even social media is built on it. Likes trigger identity reinforcement, dislikes trigger dissonance, which makes people defend their beliefs even harder in the comments section. So how can you spot cognitive dissonance in yourself? There are some telltale signs. You get irrationally defensive about a choice you've made. You find yourself justifying something that, deep down, feels wrong. You change your story to avoid looking like you made a mistake. You attack new information instead of even considering it. Or you feel a rush of embarrassment, guilt, or confusion when confronted with a difficult truth. When you notice these feelings, you're witnessing cognitive dissonance in real time. The good news is, you can break free from it. The first step is to simply pause when you feel defensive. Ask yourself, what belief of mine is being challenged right now? Second, allow yourself to be wrong. Being wrong doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're growing. Third, try to align your actions with your values, not just your impulses. Fourth, don't force your identity to be perfect. No one is fully consistent all the time, and that's okay. And finally, seek truth over comfort. This is simple, but it's life-changing. Cognitive dissonance shapes your identity in ways you rarely notice, but once you understand it, you become harder to manipulate, harder to pressure, and harder to lie to. You start to think more clearly, make better choices, and live more honestly. Understanding cognitive dissonance isn't just about psychology, it's about emotional freedom. Thanks for watching. If you want more clear explanations of how the mind works, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who might need to hear this.